I'm Jimmy Lewis with Dirt Bike Test, and today on our ride test, this is the 2021 Beta 300RR, and two-stroke off-road bike. The 300 class is all about lots of power, smooth power, and it's in a fine line because essentially this bike is meant to be both a trail bike and a competition race bike. In fact, it's sold as a competition race bike. So the tricky thing for a company like Beta then is getting it all set up to do all the things. So as we're riding along now, we'll call this more of a trail riding pace, where we're not really coming up on the power valve. We're using the torque, letting it pull. So when you get into some nasty stuff, kind of like this, it's easy to ride. It makes the rider feel more comfortable. But if I were to change gears and all of a sudden say, okay, now I'm at a special test, that's where you really start using the brakes to slow down. A little more clutch. You're relying on the performance of the bike. That's the dichotomy of having a bike that's supposed to do a lot of stuff. So the big thing about this bike is on the scale, it's actually pretty heavy in its class. But when you start getting out and riding it, it doesn't feel that way. In fact, compared to bikes in its class, most people wouldn't think that this is a heavy motorcycle. You can feel when you pick it up on the stand, but when you're riding it, it responds really good. Until it gets kicked funny. When you start, like any bike, really pushing it, that's when the weight starts to come into play. And the suspension is another area where the Beta is different than a lot of its competition. It has sacks. And that has always been kind of like, oh, that's not so good. But you better give it another thought. Because it's been a couple of years since I rode sacks-equipped bikes. And they've definitely come a long way. The adjusters now make a big difference. Before, it took 4 or 5 clicks to get to a happy spot. Now it's 1 or 2, and you can feel the difference. The only thing we really notice is maybe there's a little bit too much high-speed damping in the front fork. But then we also played around with the oil level, and we're still working on it. We can probably get it a lot better by doing a little bit of tuning. And then the power is just magical. In fact, the whole time there, I was riding it in the rain setting. And if I want a little bit more pep and a little more pipiness, I just switch that switch, and all of a sudden I'm good to go, and I've got a little bit more aggression built in. Easier to get the front wheel lifted, easier to control, but now I got a little more aggression. the package, I'll tell you what, this bike has come a long way in the 3 years since I rode the last one. The chassis feels a little bit more spicy, not too stiff. Allows it to, steer a little bit more through the foot pegs. The engine character is definitely improved. It's smoother. Feels like it has a lot more torque. And then the one thing is it's carbureted. Now with the advent of the fuel-injected two-stroke, we've noticed, well, it's a love or hate in my world. I love the fuel-injected bikes, but a lot of riders feel like they don't have the snap and the power that the carburetor gives you. And for me, on this bike, I think they've kind of hit it. We've ridden it from about 2,000 to about 7,500, and we're getting away with the setting that we've got in it. It's a little bit leaner than stock, just for better throttle response. And then the oil injection is awesome. Seems like they've richened it up a little bit. It's using a little bit more oil than we recall. But in reality, when you go to get on the gas, if you're just cruising, all of a sudden you have a section where you can open it up. If I were lugging like I was before, and I did that on an older bike, it'd go boop, 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 boop. Doesn't do that. So we'll call it almost fuel injected. Wish there were some handguards. But other than that, pretty darn happy with this bike. It's definitely an alternative to all the orange and white bikes out there. And with two-strokes getting harder and harder to come by, I wouldn't see why I'd like this bike a lot.